Welcome back to the Ropedoy channel. I'm your host Mark and welcome to Taking a Test Drive. Today we are taking a test drive on the brand of MCMC fragrances, and the only fragrance I own of the brand, the only fragrance I've smelt of the brand, and this one's called Hunter. Now it's a fragrance I blind bought back in 2019. And I'm finally today, well this week, I'm taking the time to sniff this one out, live with it, and get to know it. I obviously have worn it a few times since the purchase, of course, but this was the first week that I started wearing it daily. It was one that I actually asked my splitter back in the day to split, which we did successfully, and that's why there's not too much juice left. You'd be looking at me right now in this video and going, wait, you wore all that and you haven't really worn it that much? No, it was split 50-50. You know, I put it kind of a dent throughout the years on it. This is something that's unique. I went to my splitter, and this is like an indie brand. This is not a brand that was known back in the day. And he split it, and usually splitters would be like, we're not going to get much interest in it. He was a great splitter, and I was trying to recall, you know, before I shoot this video, and where this really started, like me, and this is just a true organic indie house discovery. You don't see too much of that on YouTube, on social media anymore. It's all, and again, these indie brands, I definitely do not look down on them to give influencers, you know, samples, bottles, things like that. They have to get their name out some way. But it's not organic. There is very far and few between, and I definitely applaud influencers or social media people that have organic discoveries, kind of like I did with this. And I stumbled upon this fragrance just doing my fragrance thing. Like, if you're a true fragrance head, I was on this little site, and you know what, I haven't been on that site for years. I wonder if they still have it. It was called Indie Scent or Indie Scents. It was based in Canada, but it was a branch of Lucky Scent, but it was like Lucky Scent, I think, owned it, but it was all indie brands. Like Kerosene was on there. I don't know if he still is. But what I did is you can search on that site with notes, and I think the note I looked up was tobacco, and this one came up, and obviously with the name Hunter, tobacco, and the note breakdown, which include vanilla and fir resin. I was all over this. So I asked my splitter, and my splitter actually split it, which is quite unique. I have no idea if he actually fulfilled the whole split. Usually he used to do that all the time, is just he'd get the bottle, he'd take out 50% and ship them right away to me. There was no way that he was splitting, you know, 10 bottles and ship them within a week to me. So, but anyway, it's great to support a small brand like this if I can, with this review, and maybe help out certain you know, niche heads or indie heads that are looking for something a little different in the fragrance journey. This is not your stereotypical, and when I'm talking about, you know, vanilla, tobacco, and fir resin, I know some fragrance heads are going to go, okay, vanilla, they're going to pinpoint vanilla and tobacco and kind of think like, this is not your typical blow the doors off tobacco, rough and tumble, and vanillic scent. And I'm going to get into that, but there's something special in this release to me personally, and it is a good reason why I really enjoy this fragrance, and I do want to delve into this brand again. So let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one. The release date was back in 2009. Noses and McLean. She is, I think she is not only the in-house perfume, the owner of the brand. They're Brooklyn based. They are a business operated by sisters. So one of them, I believe, is the nose, and the other one, you know, takes care of the in-house stuff, which is really, you know, definitely, you know, indie. So Anne has done, I think, a fragrance for another brand, but exclusively for MCMC. And I just stumbled upon their Instagram recently and just see what they're up to, and there is a lot of new releases. So the major notes to this one are the three. Obviously there's going to be more than the three published, but fir resin, tobacco leaf, and vanilla. The fir resin is your major player. Like, all three, I personally think, share the main idea, but you have to like fir resin personally for me. if you want to like the scent. So this is my scent of the day today. I am wearing it, I'm swimming in it, but let's remind myself of the introduction and the opening. The opening of Hunter immediately brings me to conifers. It's green, you smell the wood. You smell the pine needles. You smell the sticky sap a little bit. You smell the light woody bark. It's all there. It's green, it's woody, it's outstanding, it's vivid, it's three-dimensional. It's an absolutely outstanding note in this release. The opening has a rustic feel to it. Pretty much bringing me to a log cabin imagery. I'm just thinking of a log cabin, and that's where it's going with this. It's going to tail off on that imagery a bit, but absolutely beautiful opening. That first burst in Hunter is absolutely outstanding. Now within this opening, at times it makes me think that there's cedar in this composition as well, because there's a lemony appeal and there's quite a bit of black pepper in here. There's a slight kick, a spicy kick that goes hand in hand with this woody backdrop. And then you start getting this tobacco leaf that joins the party. The tobacco is definitely unlit leaf to me. It works well with the conifers and the spices here, obviously, giving you that darkness that you want. There's slowly starts appearing a vanillic tone or hue. It's peeking through this very dry scent with a little pinch of sweetness. Now don't think, and again, like I said earlier in this review, don't think of your typical vanillic tobacco designer niche scent, insert name here. This is more geared towards the green conifers to my nose. So keep that in mind. The tobacco is not big, it's not robust. The blend here is immaculate, and all the notes do pair very well together. They're very well balanced. That is something that I look for in fragrances, especially with indie brands. They might be rough around the edges, and again, some fragrances that have some roughness to them, it's actually their appeal. Here the balance is there, that is an appeal of it. But the evergreen nuances are the ones that are primary in this release, with a tobacco as a secondary note, tobacco leaf, and then a vanillic hue in the back end of everything. Now going into the mid, this scent is fairly linear. Personally, it doesn't develop at all. There's not much development here. You're missing the piquant of the black pepper, of the cedar is toned down. You lose that lemony citrus appeal. It's not a big deal as far as, you know, the development. I feel like I love the opening of this one, so I did want to mention that in the review, as development is very slow. The pace for this scent, as far as the notes here and moving parts, is very slow. The fur takes like I wouldn't say a back seat, but it's still primary, but it shows, it gives vanilla a much bigger role in this back end, and the tobacco note kind of stays second in command. It never really moved up or down in the fragrance, at least through my wearings. I felt like it was a strong secondary note and it stayed there, and then the fur kind of went where the tobacco was. It stepped down and the vanilla stepped up a little bit more. So it's more of a balanced fragrance in the back end. Like the tobacco basically stays neutral, we'll say, and the vanilla has a more prominent note. Overall, this scent is not the most complex. Neither is it the biggest, we'll say, tobacco or conifer based fragrance or vanillic fragrance. It's not big, it's not bold. It's like, how to really explain it, it's cozy. the notes are well blended, and it's fairly simplistic as a fragrance. The greens are the star of the show here. They show a 3D effect. As far as the tobacco, like the other two primaries, the tobacco doesn't really have a 3D effect. It's tobacco leaf, and that's pretty much it. You're not getting several nuances of tobacco. Like tobacco is a note that you can get, you know, you can put certain things with it and make it smoky. You can, you know, you can give it texture, several different things. You know, you can give it some spices, or you can give it like a fruity nuance. All this, it's not there here. It's very simplistic tobacco leaf, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just telling you it's not three-dimensional. And same thing with vanilla. Vanillic fragrances. This vanilla is not a standout. It's not a heavy-duty vanilla like a Spiritueuse Double Vanille, where it's more vanilla extract, like a dark syrupy thing. No, no, no. This is just a straightforward vanilla. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's good. So really what you're buying this for is the conifers, basically. Personally, for me, the others are, a lot of people are going to call this a tobacco-based scent, and I wouldn't call them wrong, but really the magic of the show is the greens, personally, for me, in the woods, right? Now let's get into seasons, day-night versatility, and performance. First of all, seasons. This is where the magic happens with this fragrance, and only someone that had experience with this fragrance will have the same idea as me, and this is why it's so important to wear your fragrances and wear them a lot, almost like a signature scent. As a fragrance reviewer, you really can't get the full idea. Like if I just had, like I just wore this once or twice and popped the camera on and be a fragrance reviewer, you know, I would say, oh, this has, and we're going to get into performance. This has weak performance. It's super light. It's, you know, really seasons. It's for fall. It won't be very good for winter. Things like that. No. Once you start living with a fragrance like this is all seasons. And you might be looking at me like, what? Yeah. Okay. So built for fall, built for spring. Funny enough. It's light, and I'm going to get into that in the performance, but fall and spring, winter a bit, but the performance is lacking on this one. I'll tell you that. But it works also very well in the summer. The thing about this scent is I discovered this fragrance working really well in the summer because of the conifers. Summer nights, like what was I doing? I don't know, I was really inkling for something with conifers, but I didn't want anything too big, bold, and dark, right, in the summer, because there's still some heat out, but it was very windy. I think I was going for a walk near the lake here, and this thing was outstanding summer night. And it's just as good as, I feel like this is all season. It just has enough bite to intrigue somebody like a frag head like me to wear in the summer, and it works in the spring because of the woods, the conifers, and all that, but it also has some great balance here, and obviously the greens work well in our Canadian winters. Day or night, I feel like this is more of a nighttime scent. Again, you can wear it casually during the day, things like that. It'll work well with, you know, I'm thinking here Hunter, just by the name itself, and I don't think that was the brief on this. I feel like it was something else, but I'm picturing, you know, flannel. I'm wearing this with flannel shirt, with jeans, like casually. Versatility, I think it's, I want to say, I'm going to go average. I don't think it's not a big, daring conifer-based scent. And you're going to know what I'm talking about if you ever sample this or try this. This is not on the range of big, green, punching fragrances. Everything is laid back a little bit on this, and that goes to performance, and that's one hit for it, but it's also a plus for it because it makes it a little more versatile. Longevity is 4 to 5 hours, so that's not, you know, it can be a knock on it, and projections below average. So even though this is an EDP, that's what it's classified, eau de parfum, performance, not the greatest, but still gives it versatility. Personally, for me, I wear it more often than not because of that. Now, my final thoughts. Hunter was a scent that I just stumbled upon from an indie house, and this is, you know, true blue fragrance head discovery. I wish I did this more often lately. I want to open up my palette a little bit more, you know, these coming years, because this scent wasn't even that expensive. I think in 2019 we bought this one. It was around 90 bucks USD. I think it's with inflation and everything. I was on their site. I think it was like 100. It wasn't that expensive. It was like 100 bucks, maybe 120 USD. That's less than a big bottle of a designer fragrance. The scent itself isn't a big performer for what you think you're going to get, especially if you're looking at the note breakdown, because the tobacco and vanilla are kind of, not that I'm going to say plain, but they're very one-dimensional. The fir resin is what you signed up for in this fragrance, but again, the fir resin is, it has some punch in the opening, but like a lot of fragrances, it lacks punch in the back end. You know, I know this genre, you know, the fir resin genre, and this is one of the lighter ones that I've smelt. As far as imagery goes, it brings me to log cabin. You know, it actually brings me to my youth. Back in the day, we used to go to this place, you know, obviously, as you know, I live in Canada, and we used to go to this log cabin that used to, basically, they make maple syrup. So we go on school trips to go here because obviously they want, you know, the kids to try out their stuff, buy, you know, some maple syrup, things like that. But we do have these places that we go every winter, and they're open for families, and that's a lot of fun. But they used to pour maple syrup in the snow, and I don't mean the snow on the ground. They would actually pack some snow on this table. Any Canadian kid, especially, you know, that's not in cities, will know what I'm talking about. And they would pour the maple syrup on there, and you'd take a stick, and it would make like almost like a lollipop of sort, and it would harden because of the snow. So take away the maple syrup imagery, which is beautiful. Like adding that to this would be absolutely great instead of a vanilla, but it brought me to that imagery, and maybe the vanillic tendency, the sweetness of that makes me think of that, but it's not overly sweet, by the way. What makes this one so great is the performance, I think. The lack of performance, which makes it highly wearable for all seasons. You know, I do have darker scents that are, you know, as far as these genre, tobacco, vanilla genre, or the fir resin genre, all three of them, you can find some big performers, some big punching ones for the winters and fall and all that. And this one, you'd think the lacking of performance would be just more like okay, we're not going to buy this one. And a lot of people may feel that way, but for me, it's almost like a Swiss Army knife in that genre for me, that I feel like I want to get something like conifers or green. I can wear this in all seasons. I wouldn't recommend it in the high heat, but like I said, a summer night thing works really well. So now I'm done with Hunter by MCMC Fragrances, and I know, you know, I always say, like, hit us up in the comments below what you think about this fragrance. This is definitely old school, robes away, you know, indie. Let's discover something new that, you know, not too many people are going to have an opinion on. However, if this review does pique your interest, you know, it's an indie brand, so please let us know that you're gonna go check it out if it piques your interest. Like, I absolutely love seeing that these indie brands may get a little bit of business. You know, they were great back in the day to get me this, and this was a great purchase. I do definitely need to go back on their website because I feel like they have other male-based fragrances that I wanted to check out when I was on their Instagram. So looking forward to reading your comments on this one. They're going to be very far and few between. This video may not even hit 500 views. It may not even hit 10 comments. We'll see what the over-under is. We'll see. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Nonetheless, even though you may not be interested in this, at the end of the day, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.